Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Adamoose, and today in this series called In Depth, I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about Xin Zhao Jungle.
Perish with honor!
Xin is a simple, yet very powerful champion that's completely dominating the jungle meta in Season 11. If you enjoy this video, it really helps me out if you could leave a like and comment on the video to help your boy out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to talk with me and other members of the community looking to improve, be sure to join the Discord link in the description. Hope you guys can learn something. Enjoy the video. Abilities. First things first, let's jump into Xin's abilities and some tips to make use of his kit to its maximum potential. Xin Zhao's passive is called Determination. Every third auto attack causes Xin to deal bonus damage and lifesteal a bit. It's a very simple passive that allows Xin to be extremely strong in auto attack duels and to easily sustain while farming in the jungle. Xin's Q is called 3-Talon Strike. Xin empowers his spear for 5 seconds, causing his next 3 auto attacks to deal bonus physical damage and reducing his other cooldowns by 1 second each. On his 3rd Talon Strike, he also knocks up his target. Keep in mind that this ability is affected by critical strike modifiers and acts as an auto attack reset. Xin's W is called Wind Becomes Lightning. Xin Zhao slashes in front of himself with his spear and thrusts it forward in the target direction. Each strike deals physical damage, which scales with critical strike chance and heals Xin for 33% of his lifesteal. Enemies hit by the thrust are slowed by 50%, revealed, and are challenged for 3 seconds. Xin's E is called Audacious Charge. Xin dashes towards an enemy, dealing magic damage in a small area of effect around the primary target and slowing them for 30% for half a second. Once his dash is complete, Xin gains bonus attack speed for 5 seconds. Audacious Charge's range is greatly increased against a challenged target, allowing you to get from camp to camp faster and to engage in fights from a much further distance. You can use both your Q and ultimate while dashing as well. Xin's ultimate is called Crescent Guard. Passively, the last enemy hit by Xin's auto attacks, Wind Becomes Lightning Thrust or Audacious Charge, is challenged for 3 seconds. When activated, Xin sweeps his spear around him, dealing physical damage to all nearby enemies and knocking back all non-challenged targets, as well as stunning them for a short duration. For the next 5 seconds, Xin Zhao is also invulnerable to all enemy champions outside of the protection of his Crescent Guard. This ability is a fantastic tool to disrupt teamfights and to single out an enemy carry who you're looking to kill. Runes. Now that we have an understanding of how Xin's kit works, let's discuss his best rune setups in Season 11. By far the most common keystone, and in my opinion the most consistent, is Conqueror. Since Xin's identity is really based on dueling and small skirmishes, the sustain and damage provided from Conqueror really allows Xin to thrive in those brawls to the death. I recommend Conqueror in most games where the enemy team has a decent frontline that you'll need to get through. To close out the precision page, Triumph, Legend Alacrity or Tenacity if the team has CC, and Coup de Grace or Last Stand. You can take Last Stand if you're looking to build tankier and want some extra damage and sustain when you're low. For secondary, Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight from the Inspiration Tree is a really nice setup that speeds up your build and provides some really important ability haste for your items and summoner spells. Hex Flash is also used in higher elos to catch people off guard over walls and out of vision. If you want more of a playmaking setup, Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter is really nice to allow you to move fast across the map and make plays. Water Walking and Nimbus Cloak from the sorcery page is also viable if you're looking for pure move speed, but this is much less common than the other 2 options. Hail of Blades is another keystone that is also used quite a bit. In my opinion, it's overused, since I do think Conqueror is better overall, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have its place. Hail of Blades is recommended when you're playing versus a very squishy mobile team, and your job is to just one-shot a single target. If you're looking to run this rune setup, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter are the standard runes. For secondary, Triumph and Legend Alacrity are your best options. I also want to give a quick mention to Phase Rush, which I've tested a bunch, and I think it's actually not a bad option if the enemy team is extremely mobile. Although it's not as consistent as the others, it can be a good choice in some situations. For rune shards, you always want to be looking to take attack speed, adaptive force, and either armor and magic resist depending on your jungle matchup. Items. Now that we got runes down, let's talk about item builds. Since Xin has a ton of item build flexibility, I'll try and break down all the options as quickly and as simply as I can. Blue or red smite. In most cases, red smite is the best choice since it's literally made for dueling. If the enemy team is very squishy and mobile, you can also take blue smite to allow you to stick onto targets. I also pretty much always recommend picking up an early sweeper, since Xin does like being active early with ganks and invades. For boots, there are 3 main options. Merc treads and plated steel caps are the most commonly built, since getting some extra tankiness along with tenacity and reduced damage against auto attacks is crucial for a melee champion. Ionian boots of lucidity are a solid option as well, since they're so cost efficient and give you some very nice ability haste if you don't feel like you need the defensive stats. For mythics, Gore Drinker is by far the best and most consistent option all around. It gives Xin all the stats that he needs, and the active ability allows you to go deep into fights with extra sustain. Eclipse and Immortal Shield Bow are solid options as well, if you're looking for more burst damage with less tankiness. I pretty much only go these options though when against really squishy teams. If you're looking for a cheeky tank build, Frostfire Gauntlet is actually pretty damn strong on Xin, since he already deals an insane amount of base damage, and the extra tankiness and utility makes you an extremely annoying threat to deal with. For core items, Sterac's Gauge, Black Cleaver, Wit's End, and Essence Reaver are your main options. Sterax is all around amazing on Xin to provide you with extra damage and an anti-burst shield when going in. Black Cleaver recently got buffed and allows you to shred armor, gain a ton of ability haste, and also grants you extra movement speed. Wit's End is a great option into heavy magic damage teams for some magic resist and on-hit damage, and Essence Reaver is the best option if you're looking for pure DPS and burst, since Xin's abilities scale with crit chance. To close out your build, Guardian Angel, Death's Dance, Randuin's Omen, Thornmail, Force of Nature, Dead Man's Plate, Gargoyle's Stoneplate, Warmog's Armor, Kempunk Chainsword, and Anathema's Chains are all solid options. I won't explain each individual item since they all depend on the situation. Your final build should allow you to be tanky enough to get into fights, deal damage, and threaten the enemy's carries without getting bursted down. Tips and tricks. Now that we have the basics down for Xin Zhao, let's talk about some tips and tricks to take your game to the next level. Auto Q is the most basic cancel you want to be using to reset your auto attack timer, increasing DPS in fights, and improving your clear speed. Using W directly after auto attacking or casting your other spells can slightly animation cancel as well, saving you some downtime. If you're already up close, you can also use E to reset your auto attack animation, which is another way to improve your DPS. Lastly, you can even cast your ultimate while dashing to a target with E to save even more animation time. Although Xin's kit is very basic, using all these animation cancels throughout an entire match could be a massive difference maker. Another tip is that Xin's passive auto attack healing also works on towers and objectives. This can be important to keep in mind since you can easily sustain up in situations that a lot of other champions can't. Something pretty interesting to note as well is that Xin's ultimate can knock enemies over walls. This can be more useful than you think, since most people will not think of this and can easily get tossed over a wall in a teamfight due to bad positioning. On the topic of ultimates, Xin's ult can be used in many different ways based on the situation. You can use it to isolate a target, you can use it to disengage and push enemies away, and you can even use it to push specific members back into your team with some good positioning. Mastering all the different variations of Xin's Crescent Guard is one of the most important things you can do to improve at the champ. Before we move on to the next section, let's quickly discuss Xin's most useful combos that you can add to your game right away. The standard combo is what you'll be looking to do most times, since saving your W for after the enemy is knocked up guarantees the massive damage that it provides. I know it seems a bit counterproductive to use your dash before your W since it has lower range, but this combo is mainly used when a close range fight breaks out. When looking at high elo Xin gameplay, this combo is used way more often than anything else, since using your W early is so easily dodged if used against competent opponents. The long range engage is simply using your W before E. This is best used out of vision or on a target with no mobility tools since your W is easily dodged as mentioned earlier. It's important to know when to get a guaranteed standard engage from short range or to go for a long range engage. The surprise engage is very simple but extremely useful to catch enemies off guard. Simply stacking up your Q 2 times on any other target, then dashing to your enemy, instantly proccing the knockup, is such a great way to catch someone slipping who's not paying full attention. Jungle clears. Now let's hop into Xin's best jungle routes and pathing to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in the jungle. Let's start off with the most standard 5-camp clear into Scuttle. The 5-camp clear is the best early path to end up on Scuttle at 315, hitting level 4 once Scuttle's taken. This path is very consistent if you don't have an early gank or invade option available. This path can be done on either side of the map depending on where you want to path towards. Next up is the 3-camp gank or invade path. This path is very useful to pull off an early gank or invade depending on the situation. You can either plan out this path in champ select when you see a very volatile or vulnerable lane that you want to influence early on, or in the early laning phase if you think your best gank option is before Scuttle spawns. You can also use this path to invade some of the weaker early game junglers by quickly getting level 3, double buffs, and showing up in their jungle to bully them. Examples of champions you want to be bullying are Zac, Master Yi, Evelynn, and Karthus, who have no chance of beating you in an early brawl. Lastly is the more risky but rewarding level 2 gank path. This usually involves taking red buff to hit level 2 and ganking a vulnerable level 1 laner. This lane is ideally mid since you can pass through mid, gank, and continue farming on the other side of the map. In reality though, you can pull this off in any lane, it just gets a bit more complicated. I won't go into too many details since I don't usually recommend this for newer players, but ganking bot and top at level 2 can open up some invade angles on that side of the map using the pressure that you caused from your gank. Be cautious though, since you'll most likely be under-leveled compared to the enemy jungler who's purely farming. Weaknesses. Xin's biggest weakness is probably his clear speed. Although it's not terrible, he gets outpaced by most meta junglers in the clearing department. He makes up for this in many ways, but keep in mind that just AFK farming your jungle will most likely mean that you'll fall behind. Next up is that Xin is extremely useless if he falls behind early. Since his kit is very reliant on having items and being able to duel enemies 1v1, falling behind not only means that you get deleted before you can engage, but it also means you can't 1v1 anyone, making you a very sad warrior. Xin can also struggle into team comps with very strong frontline bruisers such as Jax, Camille, and Tryndamere. These champions can not only 1v1 you since they'll outlevel you and outscale you, they also make it very hard for you to get value with your ult since they don't rely on range to deal damage. And lastly, although Xin Zhao's late game is way better after his rework, he still heavily relies on landing his W to do anything useful in late game fights. This gets even harder when the enemy team is very mobile and can kite you from range. Champions such as Ezreal, Caitlyn, Xerath, and Ziggs can cause you serious problems if you're not able to get a flank or sneak engage. Strengths. Last but not least, let's discuss Xin's strengths and what makes him such a great champion to pick up if you're looking to dominate the jungle. First off is his monstrous early game ganking and skirmishing power. This, in my opinion, is the biggest reason why he's so strong in the meta. His early power allows you to take control of the game early, which in the hands of a skilled Xin Zhao can mean you can control the entire early game and close it out without giving the enemies a chance. It's important to focus on ganking and playmaking early to allow your team to gain early map control, objective dominance, and a Baron to close it out. Next is that Xin Zhao is relatively easy to play mechanically, which is great for newer players who want to focus on learning other parts of the game. This does not mean that it's easy to master Xin Zhao, it just means there are no insane combos or mechanical things you need to learn to play him at a decent level. The most important thing to learn is how to consistently gain leads and close out games. Although Xin is a master at 1v1 dueling, his ultimate is very versatile and useful in teamfights as well. You can block massive amounts of damage against range comps, isolate fed enemy carries to take them out, or even push back carries into your team with good positioning. The different uses Crescent Guard has really does make Xin a solid team fighter if played correctly. You can play him as a DPS fighter, a frontliner, as an engage, or even as a flanking assassin. The item builds and rune choices are very flexible, and so is his playstyle. Xin gets a bad rap as a boring champion, but in reality, he has so many different options that once mastered, you can play him in a variety of ways depending on the situation and your favorite playstyle. That'll do it for my in-depth guide on Xin Zhao Jungle. I appreciate you all for watching, and if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for future in-depth videos. If you have any questions or opinions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. If you want to connect with our community of players looking to improve, be sure to join the Discord link that's in the description. With all that being said, thanks again for watching guys, I really appreciate it. Until the next video, peace out.